Ladies and gentlemen, the NXT and AEW ratings are in. And I gotta say this, that WWE overall are a bunch of fucking idiots. They really are. And the reason why is I feel bad for all the people that were involved with this show because they put their bodies on the line. Matt Riddle and Adam Cole must have been sore as hell the next morning after their performance, as well as other superstars that performed on this show. They put their heart, their soul, and everything into it. They killed themselves for this show. While AEW, was doing their thing. They were worrying about one thing and one thing only, as if they weren't even competing against anybody. They just seemed more natural. They seemed more laid back, relaxed. Yes, they did throw a few jabs here and there at WWE. But what we saw with AEW is we saw a storyline building. We saw some sort of faction going on at the end of the show. We saw something noteworthy. These shows are not meant to be put on as pay-per-view type quality shows. Maybe you get one great matchup that everyone's talking about for the entire show that happened, and the rest of the show is pretty decent and worth watching, giving you the opportunity to see what happens the next week and the week after that and so forth, leaving us something to talk about. But for NXT, it looked like they were putting on a takeover show for 2 hours. And they didn't need to do that. We just needed storyline building. And besides, people had the opportunity to switch to AEW to see what they had to offer for their premiere show and see how their show was run. And they may gain and retain those fans that they had last week over NXT even. But quite frankly, NXT did not need to put on a takeover type SK quality show. They did not need to do that. You had to know at the end of the day that they were not going to win this anyway. Now, granted, the way they lost, I can't believe that, which I'll get into the results on that. I'm pretty sure everyone by now, if you haven't been listening to the news and rumors going on, at least online or whatnot, AEW kicked fucking NXT's ass. Now, if this remains the same next week, NXT really has a lot to worry about here. And I just think that is really sad if that happens, because NXT's got a promising product. But I will tell you guys why that's a possibility, and here is why. NXT cannot compete with AEW because I believe the WWE Network is a curse to the WWE itself. And I'll give you an example to this. Ever since the WWE Network came to fruition and came about, was formed and created and whatever, yes, it gives you all the possibilities to view all kinds of non-stop wrestling content of the WWE, ECW, WCW, and all different old territory promotions that WWE took over. That's all great and dandy. And to be honest with you, that's really what the network should be centered on. It should be centered on the past, the things that have happened beforehand, and maybe people have never gotten an opportunity to see those events, or people that have not seen them in a very, very long time and are very interested in watching them again, which is something I use the network for, as well as to watch the pay-per-views, of course, and so forth, since they give me the capability of doing that. Now, with me just saying that, the ability to watch the pay-per-views. Okay, pay-per-views. You know why you don't get good quality pay-per-views by WWE anymore like you might have back in the day? Because they don't have to. They're not focused on worrying about high pay-per-view buys anymore. They're not worrying about getting 200 and something thousand plus buys on pay-per-views anymore. They don't give a shit about that. They don't need to worry about that. They have the WWE Network. People will stay subscribed, but they're starting to lose that as well because people are getting sick of their product. Hence, that is probably another reason why they may have lost as bad as they did to the fucking AEW premiere show. Let me just get into what the ratings were. 1.4 million viewers for over 2 hours for AEW show, while only 891,000 viewers viewed NXT. Now you combine those two, that is the same amount of viewers that watch an average of what the people watch of WWE Monday Night Raw when you combine NXT and AEW. It comes to like 2.2 something million viewers altogether between those two promotions. Here's the bottom line, guys. You're getting the opportunity to watch NXT on the fucking WWE Network. I've talked to people that actually like watching wrestling at my job. I've talked to my friend Matthew, who I've known for a long time, done this random wrestling talk episodes with him in the past, which, by the way, I still have yet to get to on that with him and us working out for us to do a co-host on the random wrestling talk episodes once a week, which I'm looking to get back into doing, because I really think that we have great chemistry, feeding off of each other and making jokes and just having a good time with this. God knows you got to have a good time with this, because honestly, they're not giving you the ability to enjoy what they're offering on television anyway when it comes to WWE product stuff. So, when you use the WWE Network, it takes the drive, the hunger of wanting to do more, to improve more on what you're doing. Now, granted, that doesn't have to be, but that's what WWE does. See, I think AEW had that capability. They would drive and give us a good product no matter what, even if they had their own network and allowed us to stream pay-per-view events live on their network, because they value what it is. It's supposed to care about your fan base. Something WWE has lost the care to do, and that's basically Vince McMahon overall, not really the company as a whole, because Triple H still seems to know how to entertain its audience and give the fan base something to bite their teeth into. But WWE, as the leader of the company, Vince McMahon, does not seem to care about that. He wants to find an easy way out. He is lazy. He's complacent. He doesn't care what we think as a fan base. Now, there's some part of me that don't understand why people go to these shows and waste their hard-earned money to sit in these fucking arenas to watch god-awful garbage. But then again, I question myself, why do I do this? Why do I continue to stream their fucking shows before I started doing these reviews again and streaming it online off of the WWE Network and watching them and seeing how things unfold, even though the shows weren't as well as they should have been? Honestly, these shows, it's just, the bottom line is people are addicted. It's like a person with a crack addict problem. You got to wean them off, and AEW is that cure. AEW is the cure to professional wrestling. They're the ones that will help people see it for what it really is. It needs to be presented as a sport. It needs to be given the opportunity to look legit. WWE is not legit. I heard on Fox, and my friend Matthew told me this, and I do believe I heard this, but I just kind of forgot about it. But my friend Matthew informed me last night while we were talking after SmackDown, and he said to me, he says, look, Bruce, you go ahead and you watch Fox Sports and you watch a football game with the Buccaneers. They're making jokes about Rey Mysterio, calling him Nacho Libre. Jack Black's a character that he portrayed in a movie from Mexico. That really is kind of a slap in everybody's face who's a wrestling fan. That's not the NFL taking WWE very seriously and taking professional wrestling in itself seriously. They're really kind of just mocking it, making fun of it. And I think that's pretty fucking sad. Because they got great talent that could make this show really important. And I don't think AEW would even be a thing if it wasn't for Vince McMahon being a fucking dumbass. Because honestly, guys like the Young Bucks, guys like Kenny Omega, and Cody Rhodes, most importantly, would have stayed with WWE. He would have stayed if him and his brother were treated with respect. Instead, they were treated like fucking douchebags. And I think that's retarded in itself. Not to mention having Cody Rhodes on national television tell his father he ain't his father anymore. What a disrespectful load of shit to make someone do to their own father, who I'm very certain was very close with his father. Then you got Rusev. I'm just gonna break right into current day WWE. Still the same bullshit going on in WWE. You got Lana on the fucking stage making out with Bobby Lashley, and Rusev being made to look like an idiot, standing there like a putz. Watch his wife make out with another man, while The Fiend chokes out Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins does nothing at all but get mandible clawed. In which case, by the way, I'm going to get into that later on in this Random Wrestling Talk. By the way, this is Random Wrestling Talk episode number 23. And bottom line is, guys, you got Rusev standing there watching his wife make out with Bobby Lashley, and I'm just saying to myself, why would you do this to this fucking guy? If you're going to bury him, just let him stay at home. Or put him on fucking WWE Main Event or Superstars or whatever the fuck they call those 1 hour pathetic TV shows that are shown on the network. Don't display him in this image and make him look like a fucking moron. Now he's on the fucking team of Seth Rollins and Hulk Hogan. What business does he have anywhere near that? He's going to be the first I guarantee you, Rusev will be the one pinned on Seth Rollins' team. I guarantee it. If it ain't elimination, Rusev is going to be the one pinned for that match. He will be taking the loss for his team. That's a fucking joke. Rusev is I'm sorry, man. Rusev deserves a lot better than this. And by the way, Kofi Kingston also deserves a lot better than this. Because what happened last night was a complete and utter joke in itself as well. You have a man go ahead, beat Daniel Bryan, have a Daniel Bryan type moment at WrestleMania 35, have him defeat all these other guys claiming, and throughout these storylines claiming, that Kofi Kingston's a paper champion. Kofi Kingston's this. Kofi Kingston's that. Kofi Kingston's not a main event player. You have him beat fucking Kevin Owens. You have him beat Dolph Ziggler. Not that Dolph Ziggler is all that important, because WWE doesn't make him important. Samoa Joe, who's another one that's made to look like a putz. And then you have it closed out with him facing Randy Orton, who is actually probably, out of everyone else outside of Daniel Bryan, the biggest threat to Kofi Kingston until he faced Brock Lesnar. Now, Kofi Kingston managed to beat Randy Orton. I was very happy with that. I thought that was great. Now, the match itself could have been better. They didn't bring any kind of level of excitement to it, but they did the right thing by making Kofi Kingston get the win. That, to me, seemed important. But then, you take Brock Lesnar and beat Kofi Kingston in less than 30 seconds. 30 fucking seconds. 5 seconds max was the match. It's as short as a fucking Bob Backlund match with Kevin Nash. That's sad. And I don't even think Bob Backlund had that short of a match. I think his match was like 10 seconds or so. I'm not quite sure. I have to go back on that. But my point is that Kofi Kingston beat all these names. They couldn't drop Kofi, but Brock Lesnar can drop him with one fucking move. Are you kidding? You're going to tell me that all these other guys he defeated were nobodies? And Brock Lesnar is the ultimate badass that can kill everybody. But he can't beat the biggest pussy on the whole fucking roster right now, who's Seth Rollins. And he can't even get past The Fiend. Made to look like a jackass. Standing there in the middle of the ring watching Bray Wyatt play these, will you be my neighbor bullshit, Mr. Rogers bullshit storylines. On the Titantron the whole time, and then getting choked out by The Fiend later on during the night. I mean, give me a fucking break. Not one person on this show gets any freaking credibility. I can't even say that Brock Lesnar has credibility at this point, because he has Cain Velasquez with a fucking knee brace on his leg, and is being told that he needs to get knee surgery, and is planning to do so later on. So he may not even come back on the next show to be part of this storyline build for next week's show. Whether it's Raw or SmackDown, I don't know which. But my point being is, you don't even have him available for that at all. So you just made him look like a fucking pussy to Brock Lesnar. Looked like a pussy to Cain Velasquez, who he lost to a decade ago, but he manages to beat Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston's made to look like a fucking jackass too. Everybody's made to look like an idiot, and Vince McMahon can't do anything that he used to do that made the freaking show awesome. Give me a break. Vince McMahon is a joke. I don't think anyone should give this man a freaking pass whatsoever. This man deserves nobody watching his show. And I mean nobody. And I really hate watching Raw. I will go on record to say that. That is the longest load of shit I can ever fucking deal with. But I'm going to continue to provide the fucking reviews on those episodes. Because I want to make sure that every single person watching my video ends up seeing that I can't stand this fucking product, and I will explain to you guys why each and every week from here on out when I do these reviews. Because we don't deserve this shit. We put in night after night, week after week, with what WWE does. We stay loyal fans to the fucking product, and yet we're treated like shit. We're treated like, oh, you don't matter. We don't fucking care about you. Then why do you even have your product showing on TV? I'm going to get people so interested in not watching the fucking show anymore. And maybe, just maybe, and not to mention the funniest thing is, guys, if you look at my entire channel, the one that gets viewed the most is all my Raw reviews. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to review those bad boys and give you guys the most brutal, ranted out freaking reviews possible that I can give you. Because, quite frankly, it deserves it. And the show deserves it. And I'll tell you the truth. If WWE was smart, they wouldn't put NXT on the WWE Network the next day. they'd wait a month later to provide those episodes. Not give it to you the next day when people could just go on and watch AEW. I think that's a fucking crying shame in itself. Now, I'm going to pull up about Vince McMahon and what was said about Triple H, with Vince McMahon trying, maybe having his fingers on the NXT brand and seeing what Triple H has to say about doing things with NXT. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. Here's the one I was actually reading up on my phone earlier today. So I'm going to go ahead and read you this article real quick about what Triple H had to say on this. So here's what he says. So Triple H spoke with Sports Illustrated to promote Wednesday's WWE NXT episode on the USA Network. In this interview, he spoke about a wide range of pro wrestling related topics, including WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon's involvement with NXT. Alright, let's get into it. So this is where Triple H was asked whether Vince McMahon's influence in NXT is a positive or negative. He also talked about if McMahon plans to step in and work on the brand. So here's what he says. Everything that happens within WWE has Vince McMahon's fingerprints on it. No shit. Let me go ahead and get back on to what I was saying. So that's what Triple H just said. There is no NXT without Vince McMahon, which is true. There's no denying that. It wouldn't exist without him. He wants NXT to be different, something for the more passionate fan base. It's a darker, grittier feel. It's different. He totally understands that. But he has no desire to be in the day-to-day operations. Vince has a lot of other things on his plate. Okay, so that's the end of quote. Alright, so basically what you're telling me is that Vince McMahon wants nothing to do with this at all. Huh. Hence why you got the fucking opportunity to watch NXT on Thursday nights. He don't give a shit. He don't care. All he is doing, and this is the funny thing, and I talked to my dad about this, because he's a casual wrestling fan, but he absolutely hates WWE because of Vince McMahon himself. And he don't think much of Triple H either. He thinks he's a putz too. But he went on to say to me, he said that NXT is being used as a way to buffer AEW from actually getting anywhere near the ratings that they could be at if NXT was not shown on the USA Network. If it was just shown on the WWE Network, they probably would have the same people that watch NXT on AEW's Dynamite. So they wanted to, basically what he's saying is they want to make sure that even though they may not win anything with NXT, they can at least buffer down some of the viewership that AEW could produce on its own if they had Wednesday nights completely to themselves for on a network television show. So that is why we are getting NXT for 2 hours on the USA Network. That's what my dad believes. And here's the funny thing. One of the biggest people in YouTube, JD from New York 206, said the exact thing. He said the same thing about Paul Heyman being used and Eric Bischoff eventually going to be used for SmackDown's creative team, stating they're buffers. They're a way to go ahead and point blame instead of the blame being pointed at Vince McMahon himself. Well, I'm too smart for that because here's the thing. I know the in and outs of WWE in certain ways. Not like I work there or something, but I've researched the company. I've researched the way they do things. I've looked things up online and actually studied and understand the mentality of this company. You take an episode of SmackDown. I was super excited for SmackDown. I was looking forward to see some fucking change. Did we get change with the stage? Absolutely. Did we get any change when it comes to the in-ring stuff that occurred? Not so much. Not so much. And that was just a premiere episode of SmackDown. I can only imagine what week 2 is going to be like. Can't wait to see that big load of shit falling on top of my head while I watch it for 2 hours, but thank God it's 2 and not 3. The bottom line is, guys, no pun intended to Stone Cold Steve Austin, this is bullshit. This is all propaganda. WWE has no they have no legitimacy. It's as simple as that. They're trying so damn hard to push AEW out of the picture with other things like NXT. My attitude is plain and simple. If I'm at AEW, I'm going to do 1 year, Wednesday nights. If I continue this trend of like 1.4 million or better going through an entire year, oh, you damn straight, I'm moving to fucking Monday nights on TNT, and I'm going to kick fucking Vincent Mann's ass with Monday Night Raw. To me, this really should be AEW's test run, how they do with NXT, and to see if there's real competition. If there's not real competition because of the drawbacks that NXT has to face, because of the fact that they're able to be seen on the WWE Network the next day, there's no competition. It's a joke. It gives a handicap to the NXT. NXT doesn't have no. They have they're standing on a fucking a crutch. They got nothing to stand on. They're crippled. That's all there is to it. And that's retarded. That's dumb mentality. And that's because Vince McMahon don't care whether or not NXT wins in ratings. Because he ain't worried about NXT being better than AEW. Because if NXT is better than AEW, that means his brand of what he is involved with is shit. And he don't want that. So that's why he probably won't put his fingers anywhere near NXT. And that's probably why Triple H said something like that. But at the same time, I think Triple H fails to understand, if you have your show on WWE Network the next day after you've actually shown the entire show, people are not going to be worried about missing NXT. I didn't. And I love NXT. I'm a fan of NXT. I don't hate NXT whatsoever. I think if Triple H could take NXT out of WWE, buy the rights of NXT, and promote it on his own as the sole owner of that shit, he would have a fucking legit show. People would fucking care about that. And probably people would not even care to watch AEW, because all they really are is an alternative to WWE. That's all there is to it. So at the end of the day, if WWE wants AEW gone, they're gonna have to do what NXT is doing, and that's provide wrestling, not a 3-ring circus. You get storyline driven ideas in NXT. You get passionate, caring, uplifting things. It's not about propaganda and about providing some kind of fucking buzz in the news in mainstream. It's about giving your company the ability to look like you're something, that you mean something. You're something that's supposed to be taken seriously. Just imagine if WWE was a serious company for wrestling. And I guarantee, let me just go way back in the day. Let's just say WCW would have gotten a contract with Fox. Okay? Let's say Fox went ahead, decided they wanted to use WCW back in the day. They would have not gotten jokes about Nacho Libre bullshit. kind of joke humor by a sports anchor from a Fox Sports football game on Sunday afternoon. You would have gotten, I'm looking forward to seeing the Nature Boy kick the Stinger's ass or some kind of shit. Or just some kind of regular response instead of making fun of it as if it's a fucking joke. And that's the way people perceive WWE. It's a fucking joke. Now, AEW, on the other hand, I saw their TNT promotions. They didn't look like a fucking joke. They look like they're a fan. They favor their fans. They care about their fans. They care what the fans want. They care what the fans think. Because at the end of the day, who's giving you the money to stay around? The fans. And that's what should matter. We should matter. Now, granted, we're not... Your ideas won't always relay to what we want. And sometimes that's okay. But when it's consistently over and over and over again and over again, and giving us subliminal messages of the middle finger in your face type of deal like you just saw there, and stuff like that, it just turns people off and they say, fuck it, who cares? They're just doing all the same don'ts that WCW did back in the Monday Night Wars. The biggest one, you're going to see Hulk Hogan face Kevin Nash in a WCW World Championship match on January 4th of 1999. I'll never forget that day as long as I live. They were supposed to have a match, and they go ahead and do a finger poke, and then Hulk Hogan pinned him for the 1, 2, 3, and that was the match. And they celebrated in the middle of the ring like as if, who cares? The title means nothing, and nor does this company, and fuck all you guys. That's what WWE's doing, and they're doing that on a bigger stage, too. How stupid can you get? There's an old saying, pride comes before the fall, and Triple H actually used that catchphrase. That I shouldn't say catchphrase, but that line during a match with Randy Orton back in 2008, and he told him at Backlash of 2008, he said, "Look, your pride is gonna come. The pride comes before the fall, and your ass is gonna fucking lose." And that's what he did. I mean, of course, it was a scripted entire thing, and it was all fixed for Triple H to win the match. But when you really look at it, that's what we see going on here. We see a company that was knocking people left and right, kicking them out of the picture, and just booting them all over the place, like Randy Orton did back in 2007 to 2008. That's what we've been seeing for years now with WWE. And now finally, we got a company that's got money, a fucking promoter that has a freaking TV deal that can compete. And I truly think that this year is a year to test out, see what we can do, what they can do against NXT, and if they can bury NXT in ratings and continue the trend that they're on right now with just this 1 week, God knows what they could do in fucking on Monday nights against Monday Night Raw. Because Monday Night Raw still generates the most ratings for WWE. And I'll be honest with you guys, I think AEW could do it. I think AEW could really push in WWE shit. Because they have the talent. They care about the younger talent on their roster that people are not familiar with. They will put them up against big name stars. Even though, yes, I understand Cody Rhodes has beaten Darby Allin. And he has defeated Sammy Guevara. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Please don't shoot me down for saying it incorrectly if I did. But he put these guys over even though they lost. He did the Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin type deal with these two guys. And people know who the fuck they are if you follow professional wrestling, that is. If you're not a fan of wrestling, then guess what? Don't fucking watch it, okay? I mean, seriously, if you're a casual, you don't follow it week to week, there's something fucking wrong with you. Then don't watch the damn shows. It's stupid. If you're not going to be a fan of wrestling, then there's no reason to watch it. There's no need for nostalgia acts. There's no need for it. We need legit wrestling. NXT provides that. AEW provides that. WWE needs to get on the bandwagon before they get their shit kicked in. Now, granted, we know if they do that, that's not because they care about us or the fucking world of professional wrestling. They just care so that they don't lose everything that they've gotten from us in the past, you know. So, that's pretty much my overall spiel on this. CM Punk news, I'm not even going over that. He confirmed that he talked with Fox and that he still doesn't want anything directly dealing with WWE, and he was very hesitant, but his agent told him that that was something that it was all Fox that wants him involved in this, not WWE. But we all know eventually WWE is going to push CM Punk into doing something with the in-ring performances and so forth, or at least use him as a bait and switch type of deal where they advertise that he might actually have a match on TV and he doesn't really do much of anything at all, which we've seen that happen before. If you don't believe me, look back in 2014. We were going to get a match between Batista and Brock Lesnar to determine a number one contenders match, and we didn't even get that. So, you know, whatever. That's all there is to it on this shit. I mean, CM Punk is going to possibly do this because he needs to make some serious money. He's not making a lot of money. He hasn't been making money since 2014 when he quit. I mean, I'm very certain he's made money, of course, especially with those 2 UFC fights and the work that he's doing in Cage Fury as a broadcast commentator. I'm sure he's making money doing that, but nothing of what he was making in WWE itself. I believe Fox is going to provide him the kind of paycheck that he's looking for with this WWE backstage bullshit. So I don't blame him in that situation, but I wouldn't be surprised if he backs out on his word 5 years ago saying that he would never perform in a WWE ring. I believe he will eventually do that because I can see that happening because of what he's doing. He's getting involved with anything dealing with WWE. You're fucked. You're basically selling your soul to the devil, and they've pretty much gotten everybody that has ever fucked them over or they fucked over directly to work things out and deal with them on a business-to-business basis. So CM Punk can do all the talking he wants. I don't give a shit. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he backs out on his word. A lot of other people have, and so on and so forth. It's all about the money. It's all about the business with WWE. I want to see people that are involved in wrestling because that's what they love. Because that's what they care about. Not because of just the money, but because of what they care about. And if you got an alternative way of going out and making a living and doing what you love to do, why do it with WWE when they suck when you could do it with somebody else who is just as good, if not better, than WWE is? That's my idea on that subject. Anyway, leave your comments and opinions down below. Hit the like button if you liked the video, and hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel. And I thank you very much for watching, and have a great night, guys. Bye.